Alrighty, so today is after our week 8 time together, and I wanted to do a short video just to give you an overview of week 9 and really to talk about a scheduling change that I did, which is moving our Dev 3 forward a week. And the reason is because of the new course content. I want you to be able to have the content for this section that I'm going to add, which is all of week or section 8. And that's in the next week. But the reason I'm telling you is the reason I want to cover this is because this is really where you learn how to implement your API into a front end and a back end. And so really, if I could have, I'd probably went another week to look at deployment, but I decided to leave it here. So in this coming week, if you haven't already, you'll finish the rest of the section 7. Okay. And that's where you're really learning how to do templating, static assets, custom views, right? 404 pages and a little bit of styling. Okay. So this is good, right? This is good because in this case, we're going to have you do a little styling for your Develop It 3. So having mentioned that, that's why I wanted to release this video also, is to tell you I rewrote, after our discussion in class last night, my requirements for Dev 3, right? So in this case, you can either take, this is not that new, but the way I laid it out, hopefully it's more clear. You can either take your Dev 1 or Dev 2 and implement a server with Express that uses both static assets and dynamic functionality, right? So dynamically gathering, giving an address, looking at the weather. But again, because in your Dev 2, you had 2, at minimum, possibly 3 API calls, then you'll have to figure out how to implement your previous Dev 2 into this new paradigm, this new way of thinking about creating now a user interface from the client side and then implementing the server side. You will need to create your own CSS or, right, if you find something you like out on the web or extend what he started with, but I want to have you take and add some more design elements in. I'm not going to specify what, but that'll be part of your review and obviously part of your grade because, this class assumes you have some CSS. If you don't, shouldn't be too hard to get that because there's so many great resources out there. So in this case, right, you could look at where we ended up with the N8, right, and then just know that you want to add, a bit more CSS into there. So maybe, and that's what I'm going to have you do is, maybe what we want to do is have a discussion on what that looks like in our reply, and I'll show you what I mean because we're on the Learn Together. We're going to discuss this. So you need to implement a templating engine. Andrew used HBS. If you did the optional content, they're using Pug. And separation of page elements using head, body. You don't have to use all these, but some kind of separation. And really, this is what we call partials, right? So something, right? Because again, you can use something else. I just want to see some way that you're using views and partials together. The concepts, that is. Then implement a form to accept, that's wrong, user input and handle the input you get, okay? So that's really what we've been doing at the command line. And we've learned now through section 8 how one way of doing this. So now you just have to take what you've done, again, I'm repeating, and put it into this format. Okay, so you have an extra week to do that. You do have one more section of code. But this week in the Learn Together, then I want you to review those requirements, right? And reply with questions or what your plan will be. And in this case, I say or here, but really it's both, right? So if you have questions, I want to hear those. But mainly I want to know, what's your plan going to be here? I mean, how are you going to move forward with Develop It 3? What's your idea? And you need to write at least 150 words here, okay? All right, so that's really all I wanted to say for this one. And so we've added a week. We've added a new section to show you how to implement at least the weather app so that you can then take what you've done and implement that. And I think that's it. All right, so I will talk to you soon. Have a good one.